Fasten your seatbelts. Get ready for some up-tempo football today as two no-huddle attacks are on center stage at Bronco Stadium in beautiful Boise, Idaho. Good afternoon, I'm Jim Barber. This is Kevin O'Connell, who starred at San Diego State. Over the last 10 years, Boise State has been a gold standard in college football. Exciting play calling, lots of points, lots of wins on the road as well as at home. But last Saturday night, a big exception. Blown-out loss to Washington, 38-6. Kevin's been in the film room day and night, all week long, trying to figure out what's wrong with the Broncos' new offensive philosophy. So what's up?
Well, gone are the shifts, the motions, the multiple personnel groups to try to attack the weaknesses of defenses that we've seen for almost 12 years now at Boise State. What they're focusing on now, this new up-tempo offense we're seeing in college football, pistol formation. We'll see if senior Joe Southwick can handle this new offense. He's got a lot on his plate today. They're going to need to run the ball to help him out.
Real challenge for Southwick, who did well in terms of completed passes, but not many yards and no long balls.
Yeah, they were able to move the football against the Huskies, but it was more so a situation they were not able to punch the ball in the red zone, and that takes precision passing, and with a new offense, sometimes that's the last thing to come.
As for the Bronco defense, DeMarcus Lawrence is out today. He has been suspended, so that means Bo Martin must step up. What about the loss of Lawrence?
It's a huge loss because he was the only player with a sack a week ago against Washington. He is the best player on this Boise State football team. They've got to find a way to get a pass rush. Young secondary, they're going to need that rush to help him out.
Now let us move over to Tennessee Martin. Two quarterbacks today you'll get a chance to see on ESPN3, and one of them is a Favre. Should we say no more?
He is a Favre. Dylan Favre is the nephew of Brett Favre. He's an exciting football player. Coach Simpson could not talk enough about the ability for this guy to take it the distance at any time. And on the other hand, we're going to see Jared Neal. He's obviously a little bit more of a pocket passer, system guy, and he obviously will see some time as well. We'll see both these exciting quarterbacks for UT Martin.
For the Skyhawks, it's a step up in weight class today, trying to upset the power of the Mountain West in Boise State. As indicative of the Bronco mascot, the gray and blue unis are in hand today for Boise State. And they'll be surprised on ESPN Friday night in a big conference game. They break out in all blue, which is a very nice blend with this blue turf, isn't that, Kevin?
It is, and it's surprising. New deal with the Mountain West Conference. Boise decides to stay in the conference. They get to wear the blue anytime they want.
What a good negotiating tool to come back, huh? Tennessee Martin. Looks like the Auburn Tigers out there in their uniforms. They're going to receive the football. And we're about to get this game underway. Dan Goodale's 41. He will kick off, and you take a look at the deep men for the Skyhawks, including number 6, Kevin Barfield. A long week for the Broncos after that 32-point loss to Washington. We'll see how a week of practice has beared on them. This one heads into the end zone, and that means the drive for the Skyhawks will start from their own 25-yard line. Dylan Favre gets the start today for Tennessee Martin. He wears number 1 and has those high socks. And we asked the head coach about that today, and he said, well, just glad he has socks on at all. He's got that very good and quirky personality the coach has taken a liking to.
Coach Simpson, I think the best line he had talking to him yesterday was that Dylan Favre, one way or the other, the band's going to be playing. It might not always be our band, but the band will be playing. Very exciting guy, needs to limit his turnovers today.
No huddle offenses on both sides. And right now in the opening series and the opening play, Favre at a look will operate from the shotgun. Empty backfield, quarterback draw. Favre to the 32 and pick up a 7 on the first play.
Get used to seeing that. This kid, Dylan Favre, he loves to get out of the pocket. I think Coach Simpson, who is the play caller of this Tennessee Martin team, is going to give him the chance to really push the edge today. Pass run options, try to get the ball downfield, but let him run as much as he wants.
And credit Matt Murphy with the first tackle of the game. Second and short for Favre. He's got a receiver, incomplete, overthrew him. at the 50-yard line. That was a great shot there, and a wide open Corey Jordan, but unable to deliver was Favre.
Good thing to remember, obviously he has not played a ton of football, so the overthrows, big environment here at Boise State on the blue turf. You'd love to hit that one early on, see if you can really get a drive going against this Boise defense.
Third down.
You see this so much in college football nowadays. Coach controlling it from the sideline. They're going to try to get into a formation and then run the best possible play against whatever defense Boise State is lining up on.
Play clock at 2, barely got the play off. Favre in trouble. Having to scramble, still scrambling. Sacked to the 26. I'm not sure there was good coordination between quarterback and the sidelines because he barely got that play going, and it results in a negative.
A little bit of confusion early on here, but you're going to see Favre. He's not comfortable in the pocket. He wants to get out and try to make a play. Unfortunately, Boise State took a lot of heat this week for not getting a ton of pressure on Keith Price in that Washington offense. Favre's got to either find a way to get the ball out of his hand from the pocket, or when he does get outside the pocket, cannot take sacks. Get the ball out of your hand, find your teammates.
Well, Martin gets credit with that. Defensive play for Boise State in the place of Lawrence. Penalty flag on the play, and the question is, did the returner have some room to bring it back? Marquise Clemens was hugging him at the 33-yard line, but it's likely going to be a walk-off against the Skyhawks. Shane Williams-Rhodes on the return, or attempted return. Kent Switzer is our referee today, and this is an Ohio Valley Conference officiating crew. We talked to Jason Simpson, the head coach of Tennessee Martin, asking if that'll be an advantage. He says, no, it's a disadvantage. They're always hollering at me.
On the kicking team, number 31, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Penalty on Clemens takes the possession all the way up to midfield, Kevin.
A little bit of confusion on offense to start the game, getting the ball off before the play clock, and then Clemens, the excitement. He just doesn't give him enough room, and between protecting the helmet-to-helmet hits, and then this is another point of emphasis that they started 2-3 years ago to really watch that sort of halo around the punt returner.
Pistol formation for quarterback Joe Southwick, and the running back is Jay Ajayi. Throwing out to the flat. First down pass. It's Matt Miller on the receiving end. He's one of their best receivers, and he's brought down by Cameron Harris, number 27, the defensive back. Southwick's numbers last season, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks, but as Kevin highlighted in the beginning, it's a different offensive philosophy this year. It has not met, at least with a lot of kindness. Broken tackle at the 40, and finally a drag out there with probably a loss on the play of a couple of yards. Leon Carlton III, the defensive back of good football country, Hoover, Alabama, with the tackle.
Already you're seeing Boise State to the line of scrimmage in that pistol set, moving as fast as they possibly can. We're going to see the back move around. Sometimes he will be behind Southwick. We see him here offset.
From the shotgun, this is a team that ran the ball well against Washington as DJ Roberts up to make the stop. But the problem was the passing game, averaging, 4 yards a pass against Washington. That won't get it done.
Joe Southwick's a guy that can be very, very accurate underneath, and he was against the Huskies. But it's very, very important that they get some chunk plays and help out these big fellas. They were able to move Washington around up front. Jay Ajayi had a great game, but they got to pass the football down the field.
They're looking for a pass at first down. Ball knocked loose in midfield, and the Skyhawks have got it. First turnover of the game belongs to Tennessee Martin and Tony Bell, the linebacker out of Memphis, Tennessee. Johnny on the spot.
Led them with 6.5 tackles a week ago, and they want to get him involved in this 3-3-5 defense, rushing the passer. Great job off the edge there. Tony Bell, he plays next to Ben Johnson, and we'll get into Ben Johnson in a little bit, but Tony Bell's got to be a guy that gets off blocks and makes big-time plays. When you're on the road against a Boise State team on the blue turf, an early turnover might be just what you need to spark your offense. Great play by Tony Bell.
And the football at the 45 of the Skyhawks. Favre on first down. With the long ball. Picked off. Boise State football at the 15. Darian Thompson with the interception.
Darian Thompson's a guy that's got a ton of range. He's going to try to bait the quarterback into making throws and then react and make plays. Dylan Favre, we talked about it in the open. You don't need to try to force things. You get the big turnover, you got the field position, try to make the throw that best suits you in this offense. That's underneath. That's giving your playmakers like Jeremy Butler a chance to run after the catch. Boise State, they've done it so many times here. They win the turnover margin. You saw them give it away. They got it right back.
Darian Thompson had 3 picks last year, second best on this Boise State defense. Operating today without DeMarcus Lawrence, who has been suspended. Second offensive series for the Broncos. And Southwick brought down. Tony Bell on the play. Let's talk about Boise State and some of their key guys. It begins with the running back, the JE number 27, and the receiver Matt Miller, who has a catch. And on defense, the local kid, Corey Bell, 38, and Ioane, number 10. Southwick on second down. It's got man coverage. Incomplete.
Saw early on in that first down play, Southwick goes back to the slant and go. We've seen this team try to run that. Washington was able to hit them on the slant and go a couple weeks. That's something to watch out. See if they're going to try to beat these Tennessee Martin corners down the field vertically on the outside with Miller and Boldevine.
Last season on third down, Boise State 4th in the Mountain West at 44%. Needing to get to the 26 to prolong the drive. Southwick steps up and throws. Got a man, dropped. Geraldo Boldevine, a physical breakaway kind of guy. From the high end zone view, should have had this one.
You're going to see Southwick steps up in the pocket, great pocket awareness to try to find his senior receiver. Boldevine's got to make that catch. 3rd and long, he got a chance to convert. Now you're backed up, probably giving Tennessee Martin some more good field position, which is the last thing you want to do with an FCS opponent here at home. Boise's got to try to find a way to hit those big plays. It's what they couldn't do a week ago. 3rd down, red zone. They needed that one big play to get them going, just could not make it.
Kevin Barfield back to get the punt. It is low. It is a line drive. It takes a Boise State bounce. This one will land all the way back at the 23-yard line. That good for 61 yards. Let's take a break. 4 minutes in. No score opening quarter from the Rocky Mountains this afternoon. After a Trevor Harmon kick of 67 yards, UT Martin pinned back in a place where Boise State rarely loses, 79-4 since 2000. Those are just off the chart numbers, Kevin. But I think you were here for one of their losses, were you not?
I was here for their last loss with San Diego State last year, part of the broadcast team there. I'll tell you what, of all the venues in college football, you think about some of those places down in the SEC, some of those ACC, Big Ten environments, hundreds of thousands of people. This place is the hardest place to come and try to get a victory. It might be the blue turf, might be the altitude, who knows, but Chris Peterson sure has a good thing going here at Boise State.
So that's why people were sneering at you when you came over here yesterday, huh? They remember you.
I think so. Uncomfortable with me walking around the facility a little bit yesterday.
Building formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
1st down and 15 in the 3rd possession of the afternoon for Dylan Favre and Tennessee Martin Skyhawks. That's Jason Simpson. Pleasure to have some opportunities to talk with both yesterday and today.
Really impressed by Coach Simpson, his positive energy. He's got the confidence. He made this a mini bowl game trip for the Skyhawks, and I think they've all enjoyed it. Now it's time to come out here and try to win a football game.
Which will not be easy, as you saw by the Boise State numbers over the last 13 years of home games. Favre fumbles the snap and throws to the flat, and it's dropped. Kevin, we've seen a number of drops so far in this game. Are you surprised?
I am. It's one of those situations where these teams are prepared. This is not the opener. This is not a game where you'll have a ton of jitters. Favre drops the snap, fires it out there, and that's their guy. That's Butler. They're going to try to find a way to get the ball to Jeremy Butler as much as they can, but you really need to try to calm your football team down if you're Coach Jason Simpson. Maybe try to ride the run game, which was so successful a week ago with McNeil and Garland.
2nd and 15. Jeremy Butler, the wide receiver for Tennessee Martin, considered to be the best NFL prospect of the Skyhawks. And before play goes on, Favre able to get the first of 3 first-half timeouts for Tennessee Martin.
More confusion, and Coach Simpson's not happy about it.
We'll explore why that's been a problem to this point. 11-12 to go in the first quarter. We are back to business in a moment. Back in the most enthusiastic Bronco Stadium, cranking up the noise right now as Dylan Favre and the Skyhawks in the white uniforms face a 2nd and 15. Before we went to break, we saw some confusion. What was that all about and why? Because the crowd is not that boisterous yet.
We were at the Tennessee Martin walkthrough yesterday. They seemed so light. They seemed like they were confident. You come out here in front of the fans on the blue turf, obviously a little erratic today, a little bit of mistakes here and there, both fundamentally from Favre and also schematically. But I'll tell you what, they were able to go in and beat Memphis at Memphis last year in front of 40,000. So they have to have some confidence, a veteran football team that they are.
Let's see if they can find a way to get 11 yards on 3rd down. Another stoppage of play.
Timeout, Boise State.
This
Their first time out of the half.
The Broncos use a timeout. Well, this first quarter. Look, I highlighted this as up-tempo. Fasten your seatbelts. It's been at a snail's pace so far. What's that all about?
We expected to see a track meet, and I think we're just seeing these teams have trouble lining up at this point. They need to calm down, enough with the penalties and the turnovers, find a way to just execute the offense that they want to execute today.
Chris Peterson, the head coach in his 8th season of a splendid coaching career here at Boise State. Back to Dylan Favre, who is checking off the play, just trying to get everybody in position. So seems to be some type of confusion that still has not been settled.
Talking to Jason Simpson yesterday, that's the last thing that they want Dylan Favre to have to deal with. They're call it and run it plays. Dylan's got to get up, make whatever adjustments he needs to make, but then he's got to play fast. You got to make this Boise team play on their heels on defense. We saw a week ago, Washington ran play after play, 14, 15 seconds in between. The pace was frenetic, and they were able to move the football and score at will at times in that second half. UT Martin had to see that on tape, so you got to try to incorporate that. Dylan Favre right now, he looks a little nervous. He's got to get comfortable, but we do know that they have Jared Neal, so they have options. They want to play both these guys. Could be a good change-up, but I expect Favre to settle down. This moment, he's not going to let it be too big for him.
Boise State, poor getting off the field against Washington. Has shut down the first 2 third-down attempts. Favre out of the pocket. Way short of the first down, and so now Boise State has shut down 3 third-down tries, and we'll get the football back.
Favre's got the mobility to get out and make plays. He's probably used to being able to turn that corner and get down the sideline for a first down. A lot of speed on this Boise State defense. A lot of youth, though, guys that have not been out there a lot. I know defensive coordinator Pete Kwiatkowski is really looking to get these guys experience, throw a bunch of different stuff at them, and try to get them playing fast, having their eyes in the right place, and they need to tackle better. A week ago, they really struggled to tackle the Washington Huskies.
Just saw Shane Williams-Rhodes ready to return a punt. With the fair catch at the 30. First week for the FCS against the FBS was terrific. 8 victories, and some of them most notable. In fact, your alma mater was stunned in its game against Eastern Illinois, 40-19.
They were, and Eastern Illinois, watching that tape this week, the way they were able to attack, it was almost like San Diego State didn't expect a lot of the things that happened, and I think that's what you get. FCS opponents, they were able to have that whole summer out of the headlines, come out and surprise you, do things they may have never done before, and look at that. I mean, teams like Connecticut and Kansas State, San Diego State, and obviously Oregon State go down among others. Has to give Tennessee Martin some confidence here today.
They know they can run the football against Tennessee Martin. And Ajayi Able to carry the football up to the 40, close enough to the first down marker.
Jim, we spent some time yesterday watching these guys on tape, and the guy that kept jumping out at us was Jay Ajayi. He's great vision. He has the ability to make people miss for being the big back at 220 pounds that he is, but he's a downhill runner with great vision.
Ajayi got 10 on the first play. On this one, he's loose. 13-yard pickup into Tennessee Martin territory at the 47 before DeLuce Jackson, the outside linebacker, is able to stop him from converting this into a bigger play.
Veteran O-line group, they want to get downhill. They should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage against Tennessee Martin.
So back-to-back carries for Ajayi. Tony Bell up to make a stop. Tony Bell has been so active in this game, 2 tackles plus a fumble recovery. So now the Broncos starting to pick up the pace. Second down, Southwick looking to the sidelines. Nearly intercepted.
Southwick's got to be very careful making throws outside the numbers. Joe is very accurate underneath, but one of the things that kind of stuck out watching him a little bit was his ability to push the football downfield. Sometimes he struggles with the deep ball, and that ball outside the numbers, throwing the out route on the move, obviously needs to get that out a little quicker. Good coverage there, good anticipation by Cameron Harris.
From the 46 on third down. Southwick with a strike. First down inside the 35. Matt Miller, number 2, his second catch of the game. He is a good possession receiver.
You'll see Southwick starts out to the right. This is one of the things that a senior quarterback can do, execute in this offense. Number 1 progression not over. Come back to the backside, find your junior receiver, leading receiver. Matt Miller makes a big first down conversion.
Another stop on the right corner, Cameron Harris. Southwick inside the 25, now down to the 23, and it's just pitch and catch right now. Burks with his first catch of the game. And he is finding receivers wide open, Kevin.
You said it, Jim. I mean, they're starting to pick up this pace, and as they do that, these receivers are going to be able to find some areas in these zones to work.
This pistol was most criticized during a week of inactivity prior to this game. Do you think it was justified or not?
I think it is such an interesting conversation to have, and I know we'll get to it after the break, but very confusing time to make the switch. So much success on offense for this team. You think about Kellen Moore and the records he had. Be interesting to see, but we'll talk about it right after this.
Kevin, that person in the middle, that's a personal friend of yours, isn't it?
As long as they don't know I'm from San Diego State, former San Diego State quarterback, I'll be all right.
But he won't tell anybody. Boise State on the move and with the option. First time we've seen that. Good enough for Southwick to carry inside the 20. How about that play call?
Surprising athleticism on tape with Joe Southwick. I'm really excited to see him in this pistol offense. If they give him the opportunity to pull it and run the option like we saw right there, could add another dimension to his game.
And in the pistol, the quarterback is Southwick. Ajayi, the running back. Southwick with a little play action. And now he'll keep the football, and he's got a blocker. Forced out of bounds at the 12-yard line, and a pickup of 7. Leon Carlton III makes the stop. We're noticing that secondary, defensive secondary, has got to make a lot of tackles so far.
They do, and they got to stay in coverage a long time as well. This Boise offensive line led by Charles Leno. He's a guy that you could see them. I mean, Spencer Gerke leading Southwick down the field there. He's a guy across this offensive line. They can all make plays. They all protect the quarterback.
This one headed to the end zone, touchdown. Ajayi on a good-looking drive by Boise State, who strikes first. $11 yards with a score.
We saw on this drive they were able to establish the line of scrimmage behind that big offensive line. Ajayi's a guy, you give him a crease, he can take it at any moment. He's a tough guy to tackle, and if this secondary's got to be the guys trying to make those plays all day, it's going to be a long day for the Skyhawks.
Dan Goodale on for the 7th point. By the way, that's the first touchdown of the season for Boise State. That in itself is surprising to say. Broncos from the FBS 7, and the Skyhawks from the football championship subdivision, nothing.
Very important for UT Martin to try to answer with a drive. We've seen Boise State time and time again get rolling at home, and they don't stop till this thing ends. And Southwick, give him credit. He comes back, gets the protection from his O-line. They're able to establish the run, make some big throws there to convert first downs. I think Chris Peterson likes what he's seeing early on from Joe Southwick.
Let's take a look at Ajayi, who stands 6 feet and 220 pounds.
You're going to see it. The vision is one thing that jumps out, but then he never goes down on first contact. And with this offensive line and their ability to get downfield and get on these linebackers, not being able to have them have free runs at Ajayi, you see it here. He's going to get in the secondary. Incredibly tough to tackle. They've got to try to gang tackle him, get all 5 of these 3-3-5 secondary members in on the play, because he's going to be a tough guy to tackle all day long here in the altitude in Boise.
Kevin, that was a 2-minute drive, 9 plays, 70 yards, and defensive coordinator Jeff Bird of the Skyhawks told us yesterday in the blue turf, he said, you know, the problem with Ajayi, he's a north-south guy. He runs downhill, and he's hard to get once he gets downhill.
Yeah, and I think UT Martin, they're an experienced group on defense. They're going to try to get guys in position to gang tackle him, get more white shirts to the football to try to get him down, but it's tough to do. He's a tough running back. He runs extremely hard, and he's been impressive. I mean, he was good last week against Washington. That was the one thing Coach Sarkisian said, was that running back was tough to tackle.
With the new rule put into college football last year, anything that goes into the end zone and not returned brings the ball out to the 25. That was done to prevent some of those head-on kickoff return collisions we had prior to last season that resulted in some serious injuries. I think it's a pretty good rule, and we saw a dramatic increase in touchbacks last year.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is safety, and we see so many times on kickoffs and kickoff returns, you see those contact hits, those big explosive hits that cause so many injuries. So if they can cut down on the number of return kicks by moving it up 5 yards, I agree with it. I think it's a good rule.
4th series of the game for quarterback Dylan Favre, the nephew of the great NFL star Brett Favre, who is now serving as an offensive coordinator for a high school football team. We're asking Dylan, does he resemble Brett in any ways? He said, oh, no way. He's 6'4". I'm 5'10". He can throw the ball 100 yards. I can throw it 50.
I got a kick out of that. He's a humble guy, but you can tell when he gets out on this field, something comes out in him, much like his uncle Brett. And people always said Brett Favre, such a competitor, never wanted to lose any, didn't even want to lose in checkers. And I think Dylan shares that same characteristic.
With that beautiful southern drawl. Favre looking to his right and throwing. Couple of broken tackles there, which was a huge problem for Boise State in the loss to Washington. Sets up a 3rd and short. Let us talk impact players for the team that hails from about 120 miles from Memphis. Begins with number 3, Jeremy Butler, the terrific receiver. DJ McNeil had a field day running against Chattanooga. On the defensive side, it's Roberts and 41, Ben Johnson. They could use a first down here.
They could, and Jeremy Butler is going to be a guy that they're going to try to find, and Boise State knows that. You could see him doubled. Imagine they'll get up in his face and try to play some press man-to-man as well.
This run good enough for 4 yards. Ball has been fumbled. The question is, was the ball down? If it wasn't, the live ball picked up by the Broncos. But I believe we're going to get a spot across the 35-yard line. Up at the 37, and that should be plenty good for a first down. Well, what do you think?
Looks like that knee was down, Jim. And I'll tell you what, DJ McNeil a week ago, he ran all over Tennessee Chattanooga, along with Trent Garland, who we'll see as well. They've got to try to establish a run game against Boise.
He's a 1,000-yard career rusher who had 134 yards last week in that win over Chattanooga. Favre up to Jeremy Butler. What's the NFL skinny on Butler, by the way?
Talked to a couple pro scouts this week trying to find out about some of the Boise State guys. And I'll tell you what, one of the first names out of their mouth was Jeremy Butler. He's raw, but the physical talent is there. You're going to see them move him around this offense, try to get him single coverage at times. Going to be tough to do. Boise State's very aware.
At a 7-yard reception on first down. It's 2nd and 3. Dylan Favre keeps the football in the Boise State territory inside the 45. Ionani with the tackle, but a good pickup and fake by the quarterback and the scrambler, Dylan Favre.
Great fake and even a better great read. He's reading things on the line of scrimmage. When he pulls that thing out, he's doing that because a defender has chosen to try to tackle the running back. Good read by Dylan Favre.
Short gain on first down there of 2 by Garland. It'll be 2nd and 8. 6 first downs of the game for the Broncos, 2 for Tennessee Martin. Both on this drive. At the 43. And McNeil now inside the 40, again setting up a 3rd and short as Ricky Chongachu makes the tackle from his nose position.
Very important for Tennessee Martin to keep their 3rd downs manageable. A guy like Dylan Favre that can move, can get outside the pocket, you got to give him a chance to do that. On 3rd and 14s, 3rd and 15s, he's not going to be able to do that.
McNeil in motion, Favre takes a look, can't get it to him, and he's in a world of trouble. Then finds a receiver, first down to the 33-yard line. Barfield on the catch, and the scrambling of Favre kept it alive.
We just saw Dylan Favre at his best. He's going to look at his first option, but if he feels that pocket breaking down at all, he's going to get out of there, try to make a play, finds Chris Thompson, and you'll look at it. These receivers are aware of the fact that they've got a scrambler at quarterback, use their scramble rules, and try to find a way to get open.
That is correct. It was Thompson and not Barfield. Thompson had 4 catches for 40 yards in the opener. Now McNeil running to the right side of the line, and there's not much there. No gain on first down. 4.5 minutes for the opening half. That's Armand Nance with a tackle. He is the backup defensive tackle for Boise State.
Defensively, Boise State's front looks somewhat strong. They're getting after the football. They're getting across the line of scrimmage, but they do seem to lack that big playmaker on the end. We talked about DeMarcus Lawrence in the opener. We'll see how much they miss him today.
And in case you missed it, Lawrence has been suspended for this game. No reason has been given. Favre with a strike to the 20-yard line. Jeremy Butler on the slant. Another first down for Tennessee Martin, and Darian Thompson saves the touchdown for Boise State.
Love this drive from Tennessee Martin, finding a way to answer Boise's touchdown. Jeremy Butler, we said it again, they're going to move him around. You see him in the slot now. He's lining up there again. He's got a linebacker, Corey Bell, lined up on him. If he doesn't get help, that's a matchup they're going to try to exploit all day long.
14 yards on the reception for Butler. Here come the Skyhawks, who were unable to get a first down on their first 3 drives, even got a turnover and couldn't convert. Now we're effectively moving the ball. Setting up a 2nd and 7 as we get down to 3.5 minutes. And once again, UT Martin without a huddle. Quarterback keep, that's Favre to the 11. And here we go again, another 3rd and short.
It's the blueprint for this team. Jason Simpson knows that he's got a mobile quarterback. He knows he's got playmakers on the outside, but you got to keep up with the chains, keep up with down and distance, give yourself 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s. I like this UT Martin offense in those situations.
3rd down. Touchdown, Tennessee Martin. Trent Garland on the catch, and yards after the catch. So important there. It is 7-6 Boise State, and what a good answering drive by Favre and Tennessee Martin.
Very similar play to a play we saw Washington run with a lot of success last week. Trent Garland, a guy Coach Simpson said will not stay off the field. He's a hard guy to keep off the field for things like this. Throw him a ball out in the flat. He reached contact about the 5-yard line, and he takes 3 Boise State Broncos with him into the end zone. Impressive drive to answer for Tennessee Martin.
Jackson read it with the extra point, so with 2:49 to go in the first quarter, Jason Simpson and the Skyhawks even at 7-7. So what did Favre see and do in this drive that he didn't do in the previous 3?
I think he just didn't try to do too much, and Coach Simpson left him out there. I thought maybe he might go to Neal. Little confusion, offense was sputtering, but you got to give him credit. Sticks with his starter, Dylan Favre, and is rewarded with a great drive that they desperately needed after Boise was able to establish a drive. Like the play calling, though. Keep it simple. Running a lot of the same schemes we saw last week from Washington. 13 plays of spread offense. Not an extremely fast tempo. 5 minutes and 16 seconds. I think Coach Simpson likes seeing that drive, the longer drives, try to give his defense a little bit of rest.
11-yard scoring pass from Favre to Garland, who has his second touchdown of the season. His first was a rushing score in the opener. Well, somewhere Brett Favre is smiling. Somewhere in the southern part of the state after coaching a high school football game last night. What we've seen so far from the kid, does he resemble the uncle in any way?
I think every time he doesn't have his first read there and he starts to try to make a play, it's the best part about him, but sometimes, as Coach Simpson said, it could be the worst part about him. If he can play within himself, he's got the ability to make a ton of plays. But if he avoids mistakes and can drive the football like that, they don't have to get it all in one play. They will have the opportunity to move the ball against this Boise defense.
His father is Jeff, by the way. He was a teammate with the head coach at Southern Miss. Favre 5 for 8 for 42 yards, a low kick. And good field possession for Boise State from its own 34.
People might ask why would you go with the pop kick right there when it is so easy to get the touchback. They're trying to force the tempo. They're trying to force Boise to make a mistake. They got a guy that doesn't normally catch the football, receiving the ball on the kickoff team, making a play, seeing if they could steal a possession. That's the name of the game for these FCS teams when they come to schools like Boise State. Try to steal possessions.
Charles Bertoli, the redshirt freshman, on the catch and the small return. Southwick, the quarterback. And Ajayi, who has the first touchdown and only touchdown for Boise State. Typically the ball carrier. That time it was Aaron Baltazar, number 29. They have a lot of faith in him as well.
They like Baltazar a lot, the true freshman from Chula Vista, California. He's a very physical runner, even for being a true freshman, and they like to have that 1-2 punch with him and Ajayi.
This time trips to the far side on second down. Southwick to keep to the 41, sets up third and manageable. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Southwick brought down by Bell.
Tony Bell, who already has 4 first quarter tackles and a fumble recovery, in on that play.
One of the things that makes this 3-3-5 defense so unique is you never know who's going to be the guy with double-digit tackles. It all depends on where they line guys up, what they call, and where they try to attack the opposing offense.
Broncos have now used their second timeout of the first quarter, as we are tied at 7-7 with $1:48 remaining. The last 5 seasons for the Boise State Broncos have been terrific. They've been in BCS conversation practically every year. They won the Vegas Bowl 3 consecutive years. They won the Fiesta Bowl, and the only loss in that 5-run stint was the Poinsettia Bowl in 2008 that ruined a perfect season. Now, their point production last year went down somewhere in the 50s, according to the NCAA numbers, among other teams. And then in the offseason, Chris Peterson, the head coach and staff, decided to bring on the pistol. Said the pistol's already been part of our offense, Kevin, but this becomes our staple. And you wonder if after the first week there were any regrets.
You know, when I put on that Washington tape and started to look at this execution of this offensive team from Boise State, it's so much different than what you've always seen. You can go back to that Fiesta Bowl victory that really put this team on the map. Despite the success they had, they needed that big win, and the changes, no shifts, no motions, no personnel group changes. They're just coming at you 1,000 miles an hour, spreading the field like we see here. And we'll see if it works. They had a lot of success for a lot of years running their old system.
This is an empty backfield for Southwick, who's got time. Kirby Moore with his first catch of the game. And that moves the chains up to the 46-yard line as we wind down the opening quarter.
Last week, Jim, Kirby Moore had 6 catches for 43 yards, and I think 5 of them went for first downs. Big look for him on 3rd down.
Shooting one down the field's got a receiver, and that's a touchdown. "55 yards, Aaron Burks."
Play action fake, and I said it in the open, we needed to see more out of Joe Southwick. Throws a great ball right there, finding Aaron Burks, who had gotten behind Kevin Barfield. We expected to see Miller and Boldevine step up, but the senior, Aaron Burks, gets behind the defense. He looks like a guy that could have a huge game today with the ability to match up maybe on the 3rd or 4th corner from UT Martin.
right, you Boise critics. There's nothing wrong with a pistol. And a long touchdown pass doesn't solve.
We talked about it a week ago, not enough big explosive plays. Southwick steps up. He had a Tennessee Martin defender in his face and throws it on a line. Big time throw from Joe. And he needs to make these plays. If they're going to transition to this pistol and they're going to try to run 1,000 plays a game, they still have to have some big plays. We saw them drive the football a week ago and not be able to score touchdowns. Quick drives will help this team a bunch. We see 4 plays for 66 yards. Quick strike, that's what they're trying to get to. More explosion plays. We just saw it.
Aaron Burks out of Grand Prairie, Texas. 6'3", 205 pounds, and a fifth-year senior. Always nice to have somebody in their early 20s on your roster that's been through the rigors of college football. And he got a couple of steps there on the defender, Kevin Barfield, and he was into the end zone. So that's 2 first-quarter touchdowns for Boise State after not getting to the end zone last week. So after a relatively slow start, Kevin, we're starting to get things heated up on both sides.
We are, and I think you'll see the tempo pick up. I think you'll see the downfield shots pick up for both sides, because if it's going to be a back-and-forth battle, you got to keep pace. And Dylan Favre expects to see a lot of chances to get the ball downfield. Oh, wow.
Onside kick, and Boise State's got the football. A perfectly designed play after the touchdown.
Great execution.
McKinday on the return.
We've seen this team over the years have some huge special teams moments. They expected to come out and try some things today. They've got to try to spurn this offense to have a successful day. The way you do that, we talked about it on the other side, steal a possession or two. Perfect execution by Goodale. That's tough to do. That is very, very tough to do. That is not a round ball down there. That thing can bounce any which way.
Boise State back on offense. Southwick 6 for 9, 92 yards and a touchdown. To the 25-yard line and a pickup of 18. Shane Williams-Rhodes, who hails out of Spring, Texas.
Really dynamic playmaker for them. He's probably the fastest guy on the field. Was hobbled a little bit with an injury a week ago, and it showed. They lacked his playmaking ability. Good to see him back out making a play.
Skyhawks need to find a way to make a play here because they're getting gashed. Ajayi, who has the rushing touchdown of the game, carrying there the first 2 possessions. Nothing for Boise State. The second 2 have been electric, and this third one is already into the red zone. They'll send a man in motion. And on the keep, maybe a couple of yards here. We know they have a wildcat in their offensive strategy. And the guy that runs it typically is 27, Ajayi.
Among other things, they're going to try to get that extra blocker in the box. You saw Southwick motion out of the backfield and go line up at receiver. I don't know if he's that athletic, but Ajayi, he's such a good back because he gives you so many options. He can, and when you are a downhill runner, the Wildcat's a perfect thing for you because you get the extra blocker in the box.
3rd and 2. To the 9-yard line, pick up a 3, good enough for another first down. This time it's Aaron Baltazar on the carry. Leon Carlton from his rover spot having to come up and save a touchdown.
You're seeing the Boise State offensive line, they're establishing themselves, and these running backs, great tackle right there.
On first down to the 4, and when we come back, Boise State knocking at the door again. Baltazar gets 5, and we head to break. Broncos 14, Skyhawks 7. We're back here on ESPN3 in a moment. Back with former NFL quarterback Kevin O'Connell. I'm Jim Barber. From the state capitol, we're into the second quarter, and Boise State in the red zone inside the 5. Ajayi rushing the ball for the Broncos in the first quarter. 7 carries, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Southwick to the end zone. Touchdown! Miller on the reception. And after a tired game on Saturday night in which Boise State didn't get a touchdown, they've got 3 already in the first 15 minutes and change.
One of the things that frustrated offensive coordinator Robert Prince a week ago was they were able to get down into the low red, but they weren't able to score. Precise passing, accurate throw from Southwick, and the big fella. He's 6'3", 222. He's going to be hard to bring down right there at the 1-yard line. Touchdown, Broncos.
Dacadeo with his second extra point of the game. It is now 21-7. The third scoring drive under 2 minutes. This one was 6 plays, 43 yards in 95 seconds.
Jim, you give these Broncos a short field, and if they are able to get this pistol offense going, they could score very, very quickly. UT Martin, you wonder, do they slow their pace down? You've got to try to find a way to stay in this football game in the first half. As Jason Simpson said yesterday, when they went and beat Memphis a year ago, it was about one thing. Try to stay in the game in the first half, try to stay in the game in the second half, and then if you give yourself a chance to win in the end, make the play to win the game. But Boise State, they get this tempo going. They are sure tough to stop when they're executing.
In the 2013 preseason poll for the Mountain West Conference, Boise State, the odds-on pick to win the Mountain Division, almost unanimous. And in the West, Fresno State is the team to beat.
Fresno State looked very, very good a week ago with their quarterback, Derek Carr. I think the way they set this divisions, the Mountain Division and the West Division this first year with the added teams to the Mountain West, should be very, very competitive. A lot at stake, depending on who ends up hosting that championship game.
In this first quarter plus, Chris Peterson, the head coach of the Broncos, and his team without a penalty. Last year they were one of the least penalized teams in the nation. This one is returnable from the 7. But not much of a return. Chris Santini running full speed. Sees this one yielding just 10 yards on the return.
One of the things that's defined Boise State through their great run here is great special teams. We saw the onside kick earlier. Go down and make a play. Go down and make a tackle. Good, clean hit by Christopher Santini. Dylan Favre coming back on the field. You have to try to find a way to answer against this tough Boise State defense.
Now, the only scoring drive for the Skyhawks did take more than 5 minutes and 13 plays, so that would be a good recipe to keep the Boise State offense off the blue turf. From the 18. McNeil into open field. To the 39 and a gain of 21 yards on first down.
A couple great cuts there. He obviously gets through the line of scrimmage. Good job by this Tennessee Martin offensive line, but right there, that's what separates running backs, the ability to make that one guy miss. And if you can get some blocks downfield, take it the distance.
Back to McNeil again. It'll be a heavy dose of him today. And Kevin, you brought up the point about being able to sustain drives. Obviously 3 and out for an FCS team against a powerful offense like Boise State, which is finding itself today, is going to be a recipe for disaster.
It just does, because it tests your depth when you're on defense and you're on the field all day. Tennessee Martin's got some really good players, but the depth of their program against Boise State, we'll just have to see.
After the pickup of 2, 2nd and 8. Favre out of the backfield. Little pitch and catch. That one will be shy of the first down as Torre on the receiving end. UTM on 3rd down, effective 3 out of 5.
Another 3rd and manageable. What we saw from Favre right there, first time today, had a guy downfield, not open, finds his check down, keeps them ahead of the sticks. Very nice job by Dylan Favre.
Jeremy Iwane with a tackle there. Another first down toss, this time to Jeremy Butler. Butler down to the 43-yard line. It's a pickup of 9. First down Skyhawks, and now they're on the move.
I think they've found something with Butler in the slot. Boise State's having a tough time in their zone coverage matching up.
Tennessee Martin, which opened up big against Chattanooga a week ago Thursday, came into Boise on a Thursday, get a little extra time to get the legs ready for this game here on a Saturday afternoon in the mountains. To the flat to Butler. They want to get Butler a lot of catches and, more importantly, a lot of touches today.
They do, and they have to, because he is a very talented receiver with the raw ability to just throw him the football and watch him make guys miss and try to get first downs like he did on the previous third down. 3rd and 8 here. Skyhawks probably spread the field, try to find a matchup that they like with Butler. There he is to the near side.
And they have a scrambling quarterback in Dylan Favre. To McNeil, short of the first down, but certainly on 4th down, a 4th down situation that they could go for. Field goal kick would be 55 yards. Brian Douglas making his first tackle of the game. Little jump pass there.
Yeah, sometimes when he's in the pocket, he had protection right there, tries to start making a play, but good job. Get the ball to your back, 4th and 2.
Last year they were 6th best in the Ohio Valley Conference. And before this play goes on, Boise State will use its 3rd and final timeout. We will stay here. We are at the 12:26 mark of the 2nd quarter. It's 21-7. We saw Favre and Jared Neal, the other quarterback that is expected to see some playing time today, but to this point has not.
Yeah, I think Jared Neal, a little bit more of a pocket passer, traditional guy, relies on his teammates, gets the ball to them and lets them make plays. I think they need Dylan Favre's playmaking ability. I think they need him in the run game. I think they need him pushing the pocket, trying to force this Boise team to defend the entire field sideline to sideline. He's had some success early on.
All right, you get to be offensive coordinator. We're putting a headset on you here right at this point. The offensive coordinator is Jason Simpson, who's also the head coach of Tennessee Martin. On 4th down, what do you dial up?
I think it just depends what your mentality is as a play caller. If you want to get physical, try to get the run game going, see if DJ McNeil can pick this thing up, you do that. But I like Butler in the slot. I like what they're doing, lining him up to the field, trying to get him space to work. Boise's going to have their nickel package in the game, trying to get that extra corner to follow Butler wherever they go. Could be a big matchup to watch.
Big play here for the Skyhawks. Favre on the option. It'll be close, but did he stretch far enough? It appears he is short, as Tyler Horn was up there to make the stop. Depends on the spot, as always. And he is short.
Not a bad play call, giving your athletic, mobile quarterback a chance to run the option. He decides to turn it up, and at that point, as a quarterback, once you make that decision, you got to go. Because those guys in blue love getting a chance to hit that quarterback, especially on a 4th and 2. There's no rule that can protect you at that point. You got to go get that thing. Comes up about a half a football short.
Frustration on the Skyhawks sideline as they give the ball back to Boise State, which has been so effective after the first 2 drives, which netted 0 yards. Quarterback keep. Southwick has done this on more than one occasion, carrying up to the 42 for a pickup of 4. Joe Southwick, part of Boise State's success last year in this game, throwing the ball. 7 of 10, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, not a lot of long completions last week. We've seen him get the football down the field today.
He'll step up and go play action, shooting one down the field. And that's going to be marked off against Tennessee Martin. (17) DeAdrian Terry was back, checked that 24, back defending, and there is a penalty.
Pass interference on the defense, number 24. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, 1st down.
So Jordan Landry with the violation, 15 yards in college football on the walk-off.
Big thing with this Boise State offense, you've got the big receivers, 6'3", Boldevine, 6'4". Whether he's open or not, Joe Southwick's got to give him a shot. Throw that thing and let the big fella go up and make a play, because what you're going to have is a completion, or right there we saw interference.
37 yards penalized now against Tennessee Martin. Boise State with a first down and the football. Ajayi carrying the ball. Three tries for touchdowns after the first two possessions. Dead to nothing. Devontae Barnett off the bench from last year makes the tackle from his backup outside linebacking spot.
Interesting, we've seen the Skyhawk defense. The corners are starting to tighten up, play a bit more press, no help from the safeties. Southwick's got to see that and try to get the ball down the field.
Brings up a 3rd and long for Boise State as we get down to 11 minutes for the first half. What's his call here?
3rd and 8, obviously with the senior quarterback, you'd like to see him try to find one of their receivers, and they're going to take a shot.
Man coverage. Pass interference again against Tennessee Martin. This time Kevin Barfield. The left corner is guilty.
A lot of single coverage from the Skyhawk defense. Puts these smaller corners in a tough spot.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 6, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I mean, that's 5'9", Kevin Barfield going up against 6'3", Aaron Burks. Ball's a little bit underthrown. Southwick had some pressure in his face, but Boise moving the football, taking some shots down the field, and I know the Bronco fans here like to see that from offensive coordinator Robert Prince.
Wasn't something they had an opportunity to do against Washington. The receivers were losing the man-on-man battles from the line of scrimmage. Southwick stepping up and throwing toward the end zone. Incomplete. Javontes Blackman back defending, and the fans here thought face guarding could have been called, and that would have been the 3rd pass interference penalty had it been assessed.
With all this man-to-man coverage, Southwick is just literally throwing the football up to his bigger receivers. Blackman might have got away with one right there, but you know what? More man coverage. Defensive coordinator Bird obviously said he loves the 3-3-5, but they're going to have to bring pressure. They're going to have to force a turnover, and you do that by not allowing your safeties to help. They're in the box making plays. Blackman's going to have his hands full, though. Like we said, 6'3", 6'4". They're giving up almost 5 inches per guy in that secondary.
3 seconds left on the play clock. Southwick makes it happen. This could go big. Blackman may have saved a touchdown there as Shane Williams-Rhodes, as you mentioned, recovering from an injury with a catch and run of 16 yards.
That's the senior quarterback just noticing that he had an uncovered man. Tennessee Martin, a little bit confusion on the back end. Doesn't matter what the play call is. Make the snap, get the ball, and get it out there. Have him make a play.
2 for 2 today inside the red zone. Fourth touchdown of the afternoon for Boise State. And the second of the day for Jay Ajayi.
Starting to see Boise's offensive line really take this line of scrimmage. They're driving the guys in white back 4 or 5 yards, and when you've got a running back like Ajayi, practically goes in untouched. Tennessee Martin's got to find a way to get these guys down in the backfield, gang tackling. You don't want to leave it one-on-one with secondary players for this defense that is a little bit undersized. Obviously, we've talked about that, but they take pride in their tackling. So early on, something they've got to do a little bit better job in.
In the Idaho Statesman this week, lots of criticism on the Boise State offense, but not today. Up 3 scores. Former SDSU quarterback Kevin O'Connell and Jim Barber back in the Rocky Mountains. It is 28-7 Boise State, which has the last 3 touchdowns of this game. And Chris Peterson's team held to 2 field goals the other night, has exploded in this one. So for your Jason Simpson, first off, do you make a quarterback switch?
I don't, because I really do think you need Favre's playmaking ability, and you got to live and die with him today because he gives you that option. He gives you that chance at any time to create a play that scores points.
Jared Neal is the other quarterback if they get in a situation where they want to use him. And Simpson talked yesterday and today about the fact that likely will happen. Tyler Gray able to make the tackle there. Joe Southwick, who has led 4 scoring drives, getting work done moments ago during our commercial break.
That's one of the issues at hand. Joe Southwick last year did not run the football a bunch, but with this pistol offense, he's going to have to be a runner, a playmaker for him. Gets a little work on the sideline. I think Joe will be all right.
Dylan Favre, 9 for 12, 62 yards throwing the football. 1 touchdown and 1 pick. And because he was stopped on that 4th and 2, the option call, that allowed Boise State to get the ball in good field position and march down for its 4th score. Favre faking and looking. To the 25-yard line, Dylan Davis with a catch.
I think you're seeing him get in a rhythm. I mean, we saw him right there, comes out of that fake, eyes left, goes all the way across the field. Probably his 3rd or 4th progression. That's something that I know Jason Simpson likes to see from him. Get through your progressions and find the open man.
7-yard reception, 2nd and 3. Couple of broken tackles. Spot will still be short of the 1st down on the carry by DJ McNeil. So that brings us to 3rd and 2, and how important is it for Tennessee Martin and its offense to stay on the field?
We've seen the momentum this pistol offense of Boise can generate. You got to give your defense a rest. You cannot put them back on the field with a 3-and-out here.
Skyhawks 4 for 7 on 3rd down, or more important, 0 for 1 on 4th. Favre throws for it. Caught, 1st down, and then some. To the 47-yard line, Kyle Carrick, the transfer out of Michigan State, his 1st catch of the game. That was big. That was good for 20 yards.
They go with double slants on the top of your screen. Kyle Carrick, a guy we hadn't really heard a lot about coming in, but makes a little play after the catch, and that's what you need. Guys stepping up, makes the catch, but does a little bit more.
Listed at 6'3", 190, and a freshman from Coatesville, Pennsylvania. So this drive continues, and Favre flushed out. And is it picked off? No. Corey Bell had a chance at it. He's the local kid. Played high school football at Capital here in the city of Boise.
It was fun watching some tape yesterday and having Bell be the guy that jumps out on tape, the energy guy against the Huskies. He was all over the field, played a good football game. And I think Coach Peterson, they like having him out there. His enthusiasm, being the local kid, I think it brings a lot to this team.
And he was productive in that Vegas Bowl against Washington with 8 tackles. 2nd and 10. Little trick play. Favre becomes the receiver, but will he get it to him? No, instead Butler will run out of trouble, and they still got the ball. That goes for about 4 yards. Some of the more exciting 4-yard reception you'll see.
We knew we'd see trick plays. We knew that Tennessee Martin had some things up their sleeve. You'll see Butler comes in motion. They're going to flip it back to him, actually try to throw the ball back to Dylan Favre on the quarterback throwback. Nothing there, but look at the receiver reading the defense, able to make a smart play, make a positive play out of nothing.
It's like he'd make a good running back, don't you think?
I think that's the point. You just got to get him the ball in any way you can.
After the play, personal foul on the offense, number 60. 15-yard penalty, the down count. That's 3rd down.
Jason Simpson is irate as Anthony Tops, the starting center, is guilty.
I'll tell you what, that's a tough call, and you could see why Jason Simpson is very, very upset. Giving yourself a 3rd and 20, impossible against a Boise State defense. You want to stay manageable. Penalty like that, that's very, very tough to overcome. I don't have a 3rd and 20 play call, Jim.
I want to ask.
Okay.
Bet you did at San Diego State, though, huh? It's a give-up play as Favre keeps. And here's the problem. You're giving the ball right back for Boise State and an offense to this point that is not being stopped.
Think about it if you're Jason Simpson. You call the trick play, the potential there. Maybe we find Favre. Maybe he takes it for 6. You're calling an exciting play to try to get your playmaker in the end zone, and all of a sudden you're facing a 3rd and 20, and the drive is over. So that's got to frustrate him. One of the reasons why I think he is so upset right now. We'll see. This defense didn't get much of a rest. Can they come back on and try to get a stop? Boise's offense seems to have quite a bit of momentum right now.
And that 15-yard personal foul penalty looming big there for the Skyhawks. This play blown dead. Satterfield getting off the punt.
Delay a game. Sideline interference on UT Martin. That's a 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
It's been a tough second quarter for the Skyhawks.
It has, and I think you're seeing some frustration there. I think that call right there is on head coach Jason Simpson. He's got an argument. More importantly than anything else, you put his guys in a tough situation with that play call, with that penalty call, more importantly. Ohio Valley Conference refs, we expected them to play it neutral. They're giving Boise a big advantage there on that call.
Well, he said he's been yelling at those guys for 8 years, and a lot of times they yell back. Rhodes from the 11 to the 40. And a return of nearly 30 yards. Let's go away. Halfway through the second quarter. Right now, all Broncos. I'm Jim Barber. He's Kevin O'Connell. We're on ESPN3 today. College football from Broncos Stadium in Boise. 28 for Boise State and 7 for Tennessee Martin. And in the gray and blue uniforms, the Broncos back to work again. They've been unstoppable on their last 4 drives. Southwick down in the backfield. A penalty flag has been thrown. There have already been 6 penalties on Tennessee Martin for 72 yards. Boise State without a penalty.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 95 on the defense. 15 yards will be added to the end of the run. 1st down.
Just Dean Wathen, number 95.
Just a drive starter play, real quick ball, gets it out. Penalties have been an issue early on, and I think that's to be expected somewhat. But when you've got 7 and your opponent has 0, it puts you in a lot of tough spots. We've seen some pass interference. We saw the personal foul for Tennessee Martin offense last time, and now roughing the passer.
What's happening, too, these penalties are killing the Skyhawks. In the previous Boise State drive, 2 pass interference penalties that led to a touchdown. The Skyhawks got the ball back, about set to get a 1st down, then a personal foul against the offensive line, and now this penalty that moves the drive into scoring position.
This Bronco team's good enough. You don't need to help them at all, especially here on the blue turf.
Baltazar makes one man miss and brought behind, almost behind the line of scrimmage, might have picked up a yard. Tony Bell is going to be very deserving of a shower after this game because he has been everywhere.
They need the guys like Tony Bell and Ben Johnson to lead this defense, and if they can stop the run, make that your goal. Stop the run and try to make Joe Southwick one-dimensional. I think that helps, but right now Boise seems to have it going on offense. Big 3rd down here.
Aaron Baltazar, 29, has carried the ball 5 times, 18 yards for Boise. Southwick throwing for the 1st down. Intended for Kirby Moore. That'll bring up a 4th down.
Good coverage by Fierce Perez. 3rd down, make a stop. You expected with that kind of play call that they might just, in fact, go for it here on this 4th down. Obviously shows that they don't have a lot of fear in this Tennessee Martin offense right now, willing to give them up field position here.
Need 9 yards to get to the 28 of Tennessee Martin. Southwick leading his man. Ball is caught inside the 10. Also a penalty marker, which will be against the Skyhawks and probably be refused. Boldevine with a catch. Jordan Landry with the pass interference penalty and tackle. A pickup of 29.
Holding on the defense, number 24. That penalty is declined. 1st down.
So it will not be pass interference, but a penalty nonetheless as holding is called on the secondary.
I think one of the best parts of Southwick's game is the ability to extend plays with his eyes down the field. A lot of quarterbacks just would have tucked that ball and ran that thing, but he's got Boldevine one-on-one, throw it up to the big fella. They get another penalty, but able to make the completion anyway.
Now for the 9 on the slant. To Miller down to the 5.
Southwick to Miller to the 5.
And part of the best offense today for Boise State has been the self-destruction by way of penalties from Tennessee Martin.
No doubt, and like we said, they're good enough. You don't need to help them. Make them drive the ball on you. We've seen the penalties on third downs. That's been the biggest issue. The 3 pass interference penalties have been on third down. They've caused this team to give up first downs, and now they're deep in the red zone again against the Skyhawk defense.
Back to the ground, back to Baltazar. Well, you figure you play in the Ohio Valley Conference. You have referees from the Ohio Valley Conference. And today your opponent's not been penalized. You have been penalized 87 yards. Go figure.
We'll see how that plays out. I know Jason Simpson, head coach at Tennessee Martin's, not too happy about it. But big play here. Third down, this was a situation Boise struggled with a week ago. If they get single coverage, try to throw this thing up to one of your 6'3" receivers in the end zone.
Miller is 6'3". He's on the far side. Instead, he goes to the right side. Touchdown. Kirby Moore's first TD reception.
We've seen it time and time again today. 5'9", 5'9", 5'8". That's the height of these Skyhawk defenders, covering 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". It's not very hard. It's a basketball principle. Post them up, get it down there in close, and have the guy score. Kirby Moore, tough guy to defend down here in the red zone.
Dan Goodale's now 5 for 5 in extra points. And the route, my friend, is on. Joe Southwick has now thrown for 3 touchdowns. Boise State by a bunch. Let's talk quarterbacks. That's Joe Southwick of Boise State, who's thrown for 3 touchdowns today. It is 35-7 Boise State. By the way, San Diego State trailing Ohio State 21-0 in the Horseshoe in Columbus today. Braxton Miller, the Buckeyes starting quarterback, knocked out of the game on the first drive with an apparent concussion.
That is some news, because the fact that Braxton Miller is that offense. I don't think anybody would debate that. He's so versatile, ability to run and throw it. Obviously, they give him a ton of the reps in training camp, and now you've got your backup quarterback in the game. Looks like they're doing all right against San Diego State.
The return is near the 25-yard line, which would have been the spot had this been taken as a touchback. Mercy Maston up to make the stop for Boise State. Dylan Favre has faced some pressure today from Boise State as expected. That means that he's had to run a little bit.
Yeah, and I think they've got it with just flat-out push. I mean, maybe not the exciting playmaker like DeMarcus Lawrence, but they're doing it as a group, and they're getting pressure in the backfield, and they're keeping him contained, because he's a guy that UT Martin wants to get out on the perimeter, let him make plays, both with his arm and his feet. But I think this front's done a very good job for Boise just controlling the situation. It looks like we're going to see a change at quarterback.
Jared Neal from Hendersonville, Tennessee. We highlighted him at the beginning. They would share some playing time today. And this one's picked off for a touchdown. Brian Douglas.
Obviously not the way you want to start the game if you're Jared Neal, but you have to be accurate throwing those hitch routes. Looked like the ball might have been tipped. Comes out high. Good reaction by Brian Douglas, the junior from Los Angeles. Takes it back the other way. The exact thing the Skyhawks did not need at this point.
A return of 33 yards for the pick six. This second quarter for Tennessee Martin has been a nightmare.
And I think it's frustrating because they had that touchdown drive to answer in the first quarter, and then Boise and their offense just came out with the help of some penalties and some mistakes by the Skyhawks. But you can't throw a pick six on the opening drive like that. That's tough.
Foul. Offense number 92. That penalty will be on the try.
First penalty of the game assessed against Boise State.
And you feel bad for Neal on the tip ball. I've been there. It still counts as an interception, still touchdown going the other way. So if he's going to be back in the game, he's got to shake that off. Try to come back and complete some passes and move this team, because he is a pocket passing guy. We're not going to see too much of the mobility from Jared Neal, but he is accurate underneath.
This is a 35-yard attempt for the extra point. No problem.
Confidence builder.
Sure. You work on that all the time in practice, don't you? Douglas, the big man on campus for the moment, with a 33-yard interception return for the 6th Boise State touchdown of the first half. Well, Chris Peterson, the head coach, wasn't happy about the criticism directed toward the new and improved, at least by their standpoints, offense for this season. And he was telling his guys and telling us during the week, don't listen to radio, don't watch TV, don't dial in newspapers with all social media. I think any kind of contact is possible. And at least for what we've seen in the first half against an overmatched opponent, Boise State is delivering the wood.
Yeah, and I think we've seen the balance. They've been able to run the ball. Starts up front with the big fellas, and they've done a good job establishing the line of scrimmage. But Southwick, he's made some throws, and he's understanding the man coverage and the fact that they have the advantage size-wise down the field. They've got the penalties. We saw him throw the fade to Kirby Moore. I think this offense, when they have the balance that they have and they're able to get some plays down the field, it's going to help because they can be explosive. They have the playmakers here, especially when they get in the Mountain West Conference. They're going to need big plays, though. They're going to play against some good defenses and, more importantly, some teams with quarterbacks like Derek Farr. It's going to be hard for them to compete if they don't score a lot of points.
Jordan and Barfield are deep. Barfield loses the football. Can he get it back? Boise State says it has it. Wow. From bad to worse for Tennessee Martin. Taylor Loeffler appears to be the man on the ball.
It's Kevin Barfield. Obviously, you don't know whether the sun was in his eyes, what the situation was, but you got to catch it first. And Boise State's shown they could get down and cover kicks today. The special teams has always been strong. That about does it as far as the worst case scenario. You throw a pick six and you fumble the ensuing kickoff. So very, very tough situation to put this Skyhawk defense in, and you imagine Boise's going to keep the momentum going.
This already has been a 28-point second quarter for the Broncos. Doesn't seem like Boise State has been in the red zone the entire period.
It all goes back to that fourth down, it looks like. When they tried to go for it with Dylan Favre on the option, he comes up short. It seemed like 4 or 5 plays later, the momentum just rolled from there, and with the turnovers and penalties, the Skyhawks are starting to beat themselves, and you don't want to ever do that on the road against a team like Boise State.
First carry of the game for the backup running back from Texas, Jack Fields. Got 4. Little option from the quarterback to the running back. And dragged down nicely by Whitfield. Make that Williams. That Williams, number 4, stringing that play out after a gain of 3. So Shane Williams-Rhodes getting a chance to carry the football, and we're going to see a lot of Broncos in the game from the second quarter on.
And look at that. We see our first Boise huddle of the day.
What's that?
I didn't see that on tape much last week.
Or maybe at all. It is a 3rd and 3. Big time holes from that offensive line with the surge down to about the 2. Fields his second carry.
Running right behind Charles Leno, Spencer Gerke, Matt Paradis, the center. Those guys have a ton of experience. 3rd and short, 4th and short. They're going to try to run behind their experienced guys, and they sure are good up front for the Broncos.
Fields gets 6. Back in the pistol behind quarterback Southwick on 1st and goal. Back to the option. Ball loose. Fields may have got it back. Tony Bell was going for it. It's recovered at the 15. That's a loss of 12.
Tony Bell has stuck out today as being a guy making plays in the backfield. We've seen him time and time again get back there and make Joe Southwick uncomfortable. Does it right there on the option. New facet of this pistol offense for Boise. The execution on the pitch has to be perfect. Good play by Tony Bell.
If it was perfect, Fields probably would have walked in. 2nd and goal. Little pick play. That's going for a touchdown. Shane Williams-Rhodes.
Still are the biggest thing is they're happy with their explosive plays and been able to break some tackles, get some receivers behind this secondary, and that's been important. And I think that will be important in this transition because you're not going to have that grinded out style that Boise's always had. They're going to be up and down the field and scoring a lot of points.
Ajayi picks up the first down after a carry of 10, and they're going with the no-huddle offense, which is new.
It is. They say it's the same plays, a lot of the same plays from the old playbook, and they're just tightening up, throwing away a lot of the stuff they weren't using a lot. But to me, it looks a lot different. It really does.
One of the rare incompletions from Southwick. Cameron Harris is back defending. Ajayi now 13 carries and 73 yards. And upper left-hand corner gives you the idea of what Boise State is working for and how quickly they're trying to accomplish.
Look at teams like Oregon. They get the ball off in 15 to 16 seconds. Boise State wants to be right there with them. They want to be inside of 20 seconds, and that puts so much stress on the defense.
We just happen to have a little time to talk about this. Do you like this style of football, or do you dislike it?
You know, when they are so successful for so long doing something and doing it a certain way and recruiting a certain way, it's a heck of a change to try to do this in a training camp in spring football. It was a decision that was made right after the bowl game a year ago, and it takes a lot of work, and I think this coaching staff deserves a lot of credit because they're getting better with it, they're getting more comfortable, but it's going to be a work in progress throughout this season.
With a substitute, this play takes 21 seconds. Receiver tied up on the near side. Dallas Burrows was the intended target out of Rocky Mountain High School in Meridian, Idaho. And it is 4th and 7. On 4th down, the Broncos are 1 for 1. Facing a 3-3-5 defense and a 4-man rush and a man wide open. That is a touchdown. Shane Williams-Rhodes, 30 yards. Joe Southwick, 5th touchdown.
They use the formation here, get their speedster in the slot. A little bit of a pick, a little bit of a rub, using 2 receivers over there, but flat out Shane Williams-Rhodes gets in the open field. He's such a tough guy to cover. You wonder where the safety help is. Is the plan moving forward for Tennessee Martin to continue to bring pressure? You're putting your defensive backs in a tough spot. Once again, they beat the man-to-man coverage of the Skyhawks.
Dan Cadale continues his perfect day. Second time that Southwick and Shane Williams-Rhodes have connected. That's the T-Dog, whose primary responsibility is to go get the T after the kickoff, and we are not, I guarantee you, not showing you this story because things are out of hand in this game.
No.
It's absolutely nothing to do with it. This was part of our original format before we got to kickoff.
One of our top stories yesterday.
Absolutely. Good festive atmosphere here, as always. And Friday night, they'll be cranked when ESPN rolls in for a Mountain West Conference showdown. Here come the Skyhawks. We should have put a clock on the dog. Uh-oh. That's a fumble recovery and got the job done.
It's early. It's early for T-Dog. He's got some work to do. I'm sure by week 9 or 10 he'll clean that up. No fumbling issues, ball security, T-security issues.
It's a little warm out there. I'll make an excuse. So Dylan Favre, who started the game at quarterback for Tennessee Martin, back at the controls here in the 3rd quarter. Well, isn't that interesting? To start a possession, you have to use a timeout.
Confusion, obviously, running on late to the field was tight end Corey Jordan, so I don't know if it was a substitution error, if something maybe happened on the kickoff return, but just not a very good way to start. It just really isn't. You've had the opportunity to know and understand you had problems executing in the first half. You had the penalties, you had the turnovers. You'd like to come out and get off to a good start like you did at the beginning of the game. Not long ago, we were 7-7 talking about Dylan Favre, the touchdown drive they were able to engineer to answer Boise State's opening touchdown. But I'll tell you what, the momentum, once they lost it, it was almost impossible for them to get it back here on the blue turf.
Favre was stopped on a 4th and 2 option play in the first half. Boise State converting that situation to a touchdown, and again have scored twice off turnovers. And penalties, as we have documented, have not helped either. But on that throw to the flat, up to the sticks we go, and probably good enough for a first down. And on the reception, Najee Reed with his first catch, and the tackle made by the Broncos. Number 13, Blake Renault.
First down for the Skyhawks.
Well, they're modest numbers, but he is 13 for 18. Now Favre keeps, loses the football. The 4th turnover of the game for the Skyhawks.
Tyler Gray coming over the football for the Broncos.
We were joking about T security on that kickoff, but I'll tell you what, when you're a quarterback, you have to carry the football with ball security. I know I lost a couple games in my college career not holding the ball tight enough. This Boise State team, we're told all week, we got to be better tackling, we got to be better tackling. Well, guess what? They just got a helmet right there on the football, ball pops out. Tough turnover there. Once again, as we've said multiple times today, Boise State's offense going to have the opportunity to work with a short field. Looks like we're going to get to see the next quarterback for Boise State.
That's Grant Hedrick out of Central High School in Independence, Oregon. 6 feet, 202 pounds, redshirt junior. Tackled on the first play by Ben Johnson. His numbers from last season in limited play, 70% completions for 116 yards. So Joe Southwick, who threw for 5 touchdowns, is done for the day, and he should be.
Well-deserved rest for Joe Southwick.
Well, you think about Tennessee Martin, not expected to win today. Heavy underdog, and yet near 100 yards in penalties, burning 4 timeouts in the first half and parts of the second half, and 4 turnovers has hurt.
And it's going to be frustrating because they were able to beat Memphis on the road last year in front of a big, loud crowd there in Memphis, and they did it by playing a clean football game, and you just didn't do that out here today, and now you just try to find some positives.
Hedrick shoots to the end zone. Had a pretty good gun on him. That went almost 50 yards. Dallas Burrows was the intended receiver, and Kevin Barfield matching him stride for stride.
The game plan's not going to change. They've tried to get the ball down the field most of the day to these matchups, one-on-one matchups, corners on safety, on these receivers like Matt Miller, Boldevine, Burks. Impressive throw there coming off the bench from Hedrick.
Brings us to a 4th and 9 and just the second Boise State punt of the day. In the first half, Trevor Hartman, make that 3rd punt of the day, got one off for 67 yards. When we come back, Tennessee Martin has the football back. Air Force Academy here Friday night on ESPN, trailing Utah State at the break 24-13. San Diego State is down 35-0 in the 3rd quarter to Ohio State. Let's update quarterback Braxton Miller of the Buckeyes. He did not suffer a concussion, even though he got popped in the head. He did have a knee injury, and apparently Ohio State has left it open that he could return. So at least from that report, it appears encouraging.
Sounds like the Buckeyes are playing pretty well. You don't imagine you'll see Braxton come back in the game today.
Your alma maters had a tough start.
There was a time when a lot of people were thinking that was a game they could go out and win just because they're veterans up front on defense and just haven't really played up to what they thought they would early on. Especially, I really think the loss last week to Eastern Illinois really kind of rocked their confidence, as it should. I mean, that was a very tough way to open your home schedule.
As you saw by the graphic, 33,000 plus in the house, and Favre in trouble. Still finds a receiver, good for a first down pass and big time. Jeremy Butler still going with the football. Favre lost his helmet, but not his composure. That one good for 42 yards, and the quarterback helped make this happen.
This is why he's in the game. His ability to make these plays, avoids the rush. But what Jason Simpson's going to love is he's keeping his eyes down the field, finds his big senior playmaker. Lost his helmet, so he's actually going to have to come out of the game, but good for Tennessee Martin. They've got a quarterback with plenty of experience in Jared Neal.
6th catch for Jeremy Butler in the game, 79 yards. Neal in the game for Favre for the moment.
Ray carried and Weaver made the tackle. No gain. 2nd down.
And Favre is back.
I think at this point, you really just have to open it up. I mean, I'd like to see them continue to establish the run. That's what they do. But down 56-7 with a quarterback like Favre, let him play. Let him make the plays that you have him in there to make.
Play action for Favre, shooting one down the field against double coverage, and it's picked off. Douglas with the interception and running it back. His 2nd pick of the game and the 5th turnover that the Broncos have forced. Last year they forced 36 turnovers.
We say they should turn them free. That's what I just said. Luckily, I'm not calling the plays. I would have called the same exact one. Just an execution thing. Favre tries to force it into double coverage, and Brian Douglas having himself a heck of a game here today. Good protection, trying to make a play happen, and you can't fault Dillon for trying to get the ball down the field, but another turnover for the Skyhawk offense.
And Douglas has 2 interception returns now for 61 yards and a score. That defense that gave up nearly 600 yards against Washington, a whole lot better against an overmatched opponent today from the football championship subdivision. Well, how would you assess Mr. Favre's day to this point?
You know, I think coming into the game, I felt like he needed to make the plays. He needed to kind of press the issue, scramble around, be that exciting player, and we've seen him at times do exactly that. There we saw him execute coming out of a long yardage situation. He finds his senior receiver. Then he comes back and tries to force it the next play. It's almost like it's a battle. It's a battle constantly as a play caller because you don't really know what Dylan Favre you're going to get. But he's in a tough spot right here. Boise can sit back and just kind of let things come to him and make plays when they try to get the ball down the field.
That probably left a lot of people in suspense, mentioning that his uncle Brett, as offensive coordinator, was coaching Oak Ridge last night in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Oak Grove, excuse me, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and did not mention whether they won or lost. They did win. 35-20 was the final score. So now my conscience is clean. And we're back to football here with Boise State with the ball.
Going to get a chance to see some of the depth with Boise State, obviously. It's been talked about. This senior class was hurt a little bit by some NCAA sanctions a couple years ago, and they've had some players leave the program, so they're a very young team, a lot of juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, but we're going to get to see some of those guys come in the game here with the score the way it is.
And the 2nd series for quarterback Grant Hedrick, who keeps the football. And in the secondary, it's a race to the end zone. Touchdown. 50 yards.
Great job up front, but the quarterback reads it. He reads it. He's got the open lane, and I'll tell you what, I'm impressed right there. I did not know that Grant Hedrick could take it the distance, outruns some of the members of this Skyhawks secondary. What a play. The former Oregon High School Player of the Year as a senior in Oregon from Independence. That's a huge, huge play for him to show his teammates, hey guys, I can run. I can get out and make plays as well. Joe Salford, take notes.
Nothing like the backup coming in the game and performing well. Another look at a 4-play, 62-yard drive engineered by the backup quarterback. On your left, Z, the T-Dog. On your right, this little lady who now replaces the T-Dog because, well, they're serious about turnovers over here, and I think he had a turnover on the previous series, and so he's out.
They didn't like seeing that T come loose on the way back to the sideline. Coach Peterson made a call. What he says goes around here. There's no doubt about that.
I'm sure that's why they spent millions on that video board, so they can show pictures like that. Here we go. He's got pretty good timing. There we go. Big applause. Nicely done.
We may have a controversy on our hands.
Let's go back to the replay. Not that we need the filler time or anything in this broadcast.
No, not at all.
And this is the problem right here. Again, you know, turnovers are huge. Boise State, one of the best in the country. And I don't know, give him another chance. It's a good-looking dog. All right, enough of that. Back to the game.
Back to the game. It looks like we're going to get our second or third look at Jared Neal here. And I think it's important. We got to remember this Tennessee Martin team has a heck of a schedule ahead of them in the Ohio Valley Conference.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And these delays with this offense continued regardless of which quarterback's in the game. And I assume that's fixable.
It's fixable, but we've seen something that drives coaches absolutely nuts, and that's repeat mistakes. And you try to get these things fixed, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of work to do watching this tape because it's not just a matter of Boise State playing really, really well. They have had a lot of struggles doing the simple things, just execution, doing the things you can control. Coach Simpson not going to be very happy with that.
A week from today, Central Arkansas will come to Martin, Tennessee to face the Skyhawks. DJ McNeil, the ball carrier, has had 12 carries in this game.
2-yard game. Third down.
Penalties down in the game for Tennessee Martin, over 100 yards, 102 and 10 penalties, just one for Boise State of 15. Third down. And Favre on a strike that appears to be short. Kevin Anderson catches. Nope, excuse me. Good enough first down. Mark at 35. On a pick of a 6. Never been in one of those one-sided games, either in college or the pros.
Been on both sides. And obviously when you're on the other end of it, it's never fun, but a young player in the Boise State program's looking at it like, hey, I can get out there and show this crowd what I can do. This may be the first action for some of these guys, Bronco players that haven't gotten a lot of time. And if you're Tennessee Martin, you got to try to pull some positives. You've got time left against a good opponent. Go out and execute your offense. You've had some mistakes, but move on. Make some plays, score some points, and leave here with some sort of positive momentum.
Wu Toure carrying the football there, and he is halted by Darren Lee, seeing some playing time from the linebacker position. Just in case you weren't around the start of the telecast, DeMarcus Lawrence, the outstanding linebacker, the outside backer for Boise State, suspended for this game. No reason had been given for the suspension at the time we went to air. This time 3rd and 10. Intended for Jeremy Butler, who has 6 catches on the game. Butler is a senior out of Bradenton, Florida, and again, the feeling from Jason Simpson, the most likely to see some NFL time maybe in a year or so.
Yeah, he's the prospect that has an opportunity to end up in the Senior Bowl. He's on the watch list for that game, and watching him on tape, he's impressive. He makes plays, physical plays, still a little raw in his route running ability, but he's made some plays today. They've really tried to utilize him in the slot, get that matchup, and they've been able to find that at times.
Question they have for Butler is, can he separate? So what's that mean?
Just speed, top end speed. That all gets figured out when you have that war against the clock, whether it's at your pro day or the combine running that 40. A lot of draft positions are won and lost based off of that 1 40-second run. And it means a lot to guys at those explosive positions, running back, receiver, defensive back. Speaking of pro prospects, we talked about DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, will that be something that hurts Boise beyond today? Is it just a suspension for today? We don't know. We didn't hear much, but he's a guy NFL scouts, even coming up in the elevator today, seeing a couple of the scouts heading up to the press box, they could not have been happy to take the trip all the way to Boise and not get a chance to see DeMarcus Lawrence, who some people say has the ability to potentially be a first-round pick. Got to frustrate some of them, but he is sure a playmaker. Jumps out on tape.
In 2 seasons, Lawrence now has been suspended on 3 separate occasions.
It's obviously an issue, and Coach Peterson, give him credit. Home opener, he could have maybe let it slide to next week, but you like to see him make that decision, and you have to make DeMarcus learn at some point. Like we said, we don't know what happened, but discipline has always been a huge part of this Boise program.
So you're a scout, and you know they're going to take tests when they get to the combine. So how much does or do the suspensions work against Lawrence, considering his ability and his potential?
What he needs to make sure is that it doesn't become a red flag, because we've seen really talented college football players hurt through the draft process by teams doing the famous taking a player off their draft board because of a red flag like suspensions. Now, if you're good enough and if you can really play, and he sure can, a lot of times a coach will say, we'll get him here in our program and we'll fix whatever issues he has, because he's a heck of a player and can get after the quarterback. So in this day and age, with the ability and the need for defenses to pressure the quarterback, he's going to be valuable. Now he's just got to stay focused and stay out of trouble, first and foremost.
Boise State now 5 for 12 on 3rd down conversions, and will give up the ball. As we're down to 3.5 minutes for the 3rd quarter. Kevin O'Connell, Jim Barber greeting you today from Boise, Idaho, and Bronco Stadium, which has let out a few people since halftime, but still most of the faithful hanging around. It's a gorgeous stadium. Tailgating started very early this morning, and it's a faithful bunch here.
I've really enjoyed our time here. Downtown area, the campus, these facilities are top-notch. They've done a very good job building this up to what has really become a football powerhouse.
Mark Coyle telling us at halftime the passion that Kentucky fans have for basketball, where he spent some of his time recently, is comparable, maybe on a smaller level, but still quite electric from a number of fans who support football here. And Boise State basketball is going to be pretty good again as well. After the 54-yard punt, Tennessee Martin back to work. And some of the lovelies on the sidelines for Boise State. Performing in what are ideal temperatures today, almost 80 degrees, sunshine. And McNeil continues to churn for those extra yards. He's had a full day of work today.
When this Tennessee Martin team gets into the Ohio Valley schedule, their blueprint is going to be DJ McNeil and running the football and ball control, and then making plays on defense when you can, but not beating themselves. So this will be a game that they look back on if they do end up having success in the Ohio Valley Conference, as a game that maybe taught them exactly how they needed to play this year, or maybe more importantly, how they cannot play to be successful as a football team.
On this series of downs, back-to-back carries from McNeil of 9 yards, presents a 3rd and 1. For Tennessee Martin's a little under 50%, 6 for 13. Let's talk upcoming games. For Tennessee Martin, Central Arkansas is next. In Southeast Missouri, Jacksonville State. Tennessee Tech, which had a rough go of it this afternoon. And the rest of the schedule, which ends with Eastern Illinois on November 23rd. Tennessee Martin picked for the middle of the pack of its conference.
That game against Eastern Illinois will be a big one, because we saw what they were able to do against San Diego State last week. Obviously threw the football all over the place, up-tempo offense and a defense that made a lot of plays. If it comes down to it and Tennessee Martin needs to win that game, they're going to have their hands full. That Eastern Illinois team showed very, very well in San Diego.
In a first weekend in which the FCS teams won 8 games over teams from the FBS.
You got to imagine that helped this Boise State coaching staff. I mean, I know they lost last week to Washington, and they were very motivated. A lot of questions coming here in Boise, but the fact that they watched the team that beat them a year ago in San Diego State lose to Eastern Illinois, a team from the Ohio Valley Conference, that had to help make Coach Peterson's job of motivating his guys even easier if they needed it at all.
Toure carrying the football for a pickup of 7. We're winding down the third quarter.
Complete Butler. Run out of bounds by Ibo McKinday.
Another reception for Jeremy Butler. And Ibo McKinday makes the tackle. It is Boise State 63 and Tennessee Martin 7. Neal, a little scrambling of his own, completes the pass. Butler still going, and Butler down to the 33-yard line.
Neal Butler tripped up by Moxie.
That's good for 32 yards.
This is what excites the NFL scouts about Jeremy Butler. Finds a hole, sits down in the middle of the zone, in the middle of the field, but that's what it is. It's making guys miss extra yards. The famous yak, which seems to separate guys, yards after catch. He did come up a little hobbled right there. You got to start worrying about fatigue being a factor. He's been on the field a lot today.
Speaking of yak, he got 20 yards of yak after a 13-yard reception.
And they need every bit of that from him moving forward, because if they're going to rely on this running game, they've got some good running backs behind that offensive line of theirs. He's going to be the guy that makes those game-changing plays. When they need a big play to go get a third down conversion, a red zone score, they've got to have a guy step up, and he's their guy.
And that should be it for the third quarter. Now it's on to the fourth. And the Broncos up by 56. Welcome back. We're set to start the fourth quarter. Tennessee Martin has the football on the threshold of the red zone, place that the Skyhawks haven't been very much. Back to McNeil, an opening into the secondary and a first down off the burst of speed to the 14. That's a carry at 10. Lukart from the safety spot to grab him. Not sure the game clock here began. Now they have set it to roughly 14 minutes. They'll get that squared away.
McNeil was brought down by Lukart.
I suppose if you're on the losing end of this game, it can't go quick enough.
Yeah, but I think there's some things Coach Simpson's probably looking for. He's got a quarterback in there that didn't start the game today in Jared Neal, and can he drive this team and punch him in? I know they're playing against backups for Boise State, but still important to get a drive going. Remember, Jared Neal started a week ago, so good to have confidence in both guys.
That's a good point. Armin Nance makes the tackle off that Montesquieu to 4. Football now spotted at the 10. On second down, little hitch intended for number 3, Butler.
Jeremy Butler.
Butler's got plenty of touches today. That was by design.
Yeah, I think Jared Neal would like to have that throw back. He obviously saw Boise State, some late movement in their defense, tried to just take the snap and throw it right to Butler. Boise State reacted. He kind of double clutched it a little late. Not a very accurate throw. Down here in the red zone, most important thing for a quarterback is timing and accuracy. If you can combine those two things, a lot of times you'll be successful, especially with a guy like Jeremy Butler to throw the ball to.
It is 3rd and 6. Neal looks, and they're short by about a yard.
Complete to Butler.
Good for 5 yards to Butler. It is 4th and 1. in this game, by the way. McNeil, 18 carries, 83 yards.
And this is a no-brainer here. You got to go. Whether you try to punch it in the end zone or just get the first down, it's an easy decision for Coach Simpson.
9-man front. They'll run the football and get a surge, and I think it's enough.
Torrey gets a first down.
So Torrey, the ball carrier, and they will spot it at the 4. Maybe inside the 4 a bit.
First and goal.
Skyhawks trying to get their second touchdown of the game, their first one way back toward the end of the first quarter. Neal to throw, now Neal scrambling. Looking to the end zone, and tough coverage. Incomplete. Intended for Butler. Lucart back defending, and when you get down to that particular area, the field is shortened, and it's tough to throw one in there.
Very rarely are you going to have a situation, especially for Jared Neal, not his game to be moving in and out of the pocket. Actually threw a pick a week ago on a similar play, moving to his left. Even mentioned to us yesterday he needed to set his feet and make that throw. But down here, if you're Jared Neal, so much of your work, 80% of your work needs to be done pre-snap. Decide where you want to go with the football and deliver it accurately if you're going to have a chance to score down low.
Butler, the near side receiver, on 2nd and goal. Back to the ground. That's a touchdown. DJ McNeil.
DJ McNeil takes it in from the 4.
Came into the game with 15 career touchdowns, and he's their guy in the red zone. I mean, they love his downhill style, much like we've seen from, obviously, the Boise running back at JE. But today it's been a good day for DJ McNeil, and he's going to be happy with his performance. They've got that veteran offensive line, and once again, try to find some positives moving forward. Take them with you back to Tennessee Martin and move forward throughout your season. But a good drive. Now let's see if the defense can get a stop, at least end the game with the momentum. It's hard to do with 63-14, but good drive for, obviously, for Jared Neal.
Agreed. Jackson Redditt gets the extra point, and that caps a 16-play, 84-yard drive that took roughly over 5 minutes. Joe Southwick has been the big man today for Boise State. He's got the headsets on now before he retired this afternoon. He was 17 of 25, 68%, 234 yards, and a career best 5 touchdowns.
I think we saw a lot from Joe today, but the Mountain West Conference has plenty of quarterbacks this year. I mean, Joe Southwick, as well as he's played, and he's going to be a very good quarterback this year, he might not even be in the top 5 of the quarterbacks in this conference, and that says a lot because Southwick is a really good player, good veteran player for this Bronco offense. But you look at the list, you got Cody Fajardo at Nevada. He's a very exciting player, runs the pistol like we've seen here today from, obviously, from Joe Southwick. Derek Carr had a huge opener. He's on some people's Heisman lists. David Fales, a guy NFL scouts just love. They rave about his toughness and his ability to make throws from the pocket. Brett Smith had a huge opener at Nebraska. Tons of yards, tons of plays down the field. And then a guy I'm going to see next week in Chucky Keaton. Utah State's very, very excited about what they've been able to accomplish. And I can tell you, Boise State and San Diego State, and some of these schools that have been in the Mountain West now, there's some good teams coming in between San Jose State and Utah State. 2 teams that think they're going to come in and have a lot to say about who wins this conference.
Don't you find yourself peeking ahead a little bit to that Fresno State, Boise State game in a couple of weeks?
Absolutely, and they're going to have their hands full next Friday with Air Force. I mean, Air Force is a tough team to play early on in the season, such a unique style from what you see, but they will go on the road September 20th, and Fresno's a tough place to go play. Maybe not as tough as this blue turf has been here at Bronco Stadium, but you talk about having to go to Fresno State, Utah State, BYU, never an easy place to go play. And that one they finished with November 23rd. A lot of payback, I think they're looking for San Diego State. One of their 2 losses last year and only their 4th here at home in the past 12 years. Just a remarkable number.
So that tough road schedule was a welcome back to the Mountain West, right?
Absolutely. I think their flirtation with maybe moving to the Big East, which is now the American Athletic Conference, they're back. We get to see them a lot here on ESPN, but the conference made sure to welcome them back with quite a challenge on the schedule.
Nick Patty is the 3rd quarterback in the game for the Broncos from Orlando, Florida. He's a freshman.
I know they're really excited about this kid. One of the biggest recruits they've actually had here in a long time. Florida State Player of the Year at the highest level. So you think about some of the players that come out of Florida. He was the Player of the Year. I think if he was 6'3", 6'4", you might be talking about him being at Alabama or Florida State. But Boise State gets him here, and this coaching staff, they rave about this guy.
Well, the Skyhawks helmet comes out by NCAA rule. That means arrest for one play. That's Deontay Glover that must take a turn on the sidelines. You can use a timeout, by the way, for a helmet that comes loose off a player, but won't see that unless it's a key player likely and down to the goal line situation.
I think at this point, Boise State, we've talked about tempo all day. I think we're going to see it slow down, get into what we call that 4-minute grinded out offense where you take up that play clock and run this clock down.
Fields gets more.
Jack Fields carrying the football. Jordan Landry has worked pretty well in this game, having to make a number of stops. Linebackers in the secondary have been very busy for Tennessee Martin in a game that was once tied at 7-7. But the better team has taken control and has put some points up.
Jack Fields was a guy up until last week, was the backup running back for this team, but they're very excited. Obviously, we talked about the freshman Aaron Baltazar. And Jack Fields, though, got a very bright future at Boise here as well, just a sophomore.
Patty throwing one down at a 5-yard line intended for Burrows. Landry back defending. And if they took a poll, everybody here thought it was pass interference. What do you think?
Close play. Looked like the official thought about going for the flag. But at this point, I think it's a good no call, good contested play. But how about the throw? Arm strength from Nick Patty.
It's one of the reasons they're excited.
Absolutely mobile. They love him in the locker room. He's handled the fact that he came here with quite a bit of hype and surrounding him, and he's understood that he's been able to come in and learn from the senior in Joe Southwick. And I think he's got a very bright future. A lot of good young players in this Boise State program.
The boos in the stadium as a result of the new video board showing the replay moments ago that what we showed you. Still 11 minutes left. We're back. 63-14 is our score. Let's get to the top 25 today, and nothing shocking to reveal. Most of the games blowouts, although Miami surprised number 12 Florida 21-16. Got a good one going on in Georgia with the Dogs, 24-24 still in the first half, and Oregon is punishing Virginia by a score of 45-10. Oregon is awfully good. And we'll see Washington later in the year in a game that will be played at warp speed.
I think that's the name of the game this year in the Pac-12. I mean, everybody basically but USC playing 1,000 miles an hour, trying to get as many plays as they possibly can. Watching that Washington tape against Boise from a week ago, I was really impressed with Keith Price. So he's obviously throwing his name in the mix there in the Pac-12.
So with the cloud over the Hurricanes, are they now back with that win over number 12 Florida?
They've done a great job dealing with the fact that they haven't really learned what's going to come of the sanctions that they're eventually going to get. Impressive, though. Florida, very good on defense, a lot of special talent there. And that rivalry, I think, sometimes we overlook that a little bit. They really don't like each other there.
Al Golden picking up his 15th victory with the Hurricanes. Tennessee Martin with the white uniforms, the orange and blue with the football. We have moved under 10 minutes for the football game.
First down for the Skyhawks.
Dylan Farr back at the quarterback spot. He started today's game. Jared Neal got some spot time here in the second half. And Trent Garland now starting to pick up the load. What's his coach say? He's got arms longer than his legs.
Really interesting guy, and he was huge for him last week. Really their third running back, talking to Coach Simpson, averaged almost 15 yards a touch a week ago. Explosive guy, just a guy they can't seem to keep off the field, according to Coach.
Got 10 yards on that play moments ago, and he carries the football out of bounds at the 38, and they're going to tack on a penalty along with that, likely against Boise State.
Play with the tackle. Flag was thrown.
After the play, personal foul, defense number 31. 15 yards will be added to the end of the run, first down.
Against the redshirt freshman Andrew Paint.
See, the first guy to meet Andrew Paint when he came off the field just now was Coach Peterson. Not happy with that penalty.
How hard, though, is it to make a tackle and then let go?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I know I joked earlier I never had to make any tackles, but I had to make plenty when I threw the ball to the other team. And you get this mentality about you, even as a quarterback. You want to go make a huge hit. You want to go set the tone. Okay, I threw a pick, but I'm going to go hit somebody. I cannot imagine what it's like for defensive players. So much of it is a controlled chaos where you're trying to go out and really make every single tackle. You're flying around the field. You have an opportunity to make a hit on the boundary. How do you hold back? I've never really understood that. I definitely, when I played, I tried to bait those guys into hitting me as much as possible, try to get that extra 15 yards.
Armin Nance tying up quarterback Dylan Favre. By the way, off those picks you threw, and I'm sure there weren't many, how many tackles did you make?
I would say I made at least, of the interceptions, half the time I brought the guy down. And they weren't always chasing with the pylon. I was hunting for people.
Good for you.
Yeah. Oh.
Favre picked off, turnover number 6. But on the interception for the Broncos, number 56, Dustin Camper, out of Meridian, Idaho.
Just a zone defense. Camper's going to drop back and just read the eyes. Dylan Favre moving around a little bit in the pocket. Camper just reads it, makes a good play on the ball, and then takes quite a hit from DJ McNeil. We just talked about it. That mentality, you see, the offensive player there. And he needs to be careful because that helmet-to-helmet rule goes both ways. It's not just defensive players.
Targeting rule resulting, if it's ruled on the field and verified by replay, in an automatic ejection. If it happens in the second half, by the way, it means you're excused for the rest of the second half of this game and the first half of the following game. There's a happy number 56, Mr. Camper.
And I know, talking to some of the referees from the Ohio Valley Conference before the game, they mentioned to us that it might be getting over-called a little bit, and the emphasis is definitely to err on the side of throwing that flag and say, you know what, we'll review it, we'll figure it out. But the only issue I have is the penalty, the fact that no matter what, that penalty cannot come off the board. If that official throws the flag, it's going to be 15 yards, and if they're able to keep the player in the game because they view it not an illegal hit, then so be it. But I would love to see them able to go back and take that penalty off the board.
To follow that point, talking with officials of the Mid-American Conference, the first day we were there for the opening night with Ball State playing Illinois State, the feeling was the officials were told to legislate on the side of caution, meaning that the call was going to be called probably or given more often than not. And in our game, the game of Ball State, there was a targeting situation and it was a good call. To the end zone, incomplete. And he's got a rifle on him. Let's talk about the targeting rule and more examination. No player shall target and initiate contact versus an opponent with the crown of his helmet or the head or neck area of a defenseless opponent. It does result in a penalty, and more significantly, it results in an ejection.
I think the interesting part about the rule isn't the first part. The crown of the helmet's an easy call to make. That defender ducks his head, and you see him hit with the crown of his helmet. The bang-bang plays where receiver might duck when he goes into a contact play, and that defender might be making a natural play and just trying to get his head across like they fundamentally teach him. That receiver ducks down into him, and it's a 15-yard penalty the other way. I just don't know quite how that rule will go, but I guess we'll find out as the season goes on.
By the way, one of the things they keep their eyes on too is an offensive player leading with the helmet. Here's our game summary. After one, Boise State led 14-7. At halftime, 49-7. 63-7 after 3. We're now at 63-14. Favre's numbers for the day: Southwick 17 of 25, 234 and 5 touchdowns. Tennessee Martin starts with the goal line in the back.
You wonder with the two quarterback system that Tennessee Martin obviously is comfortable using. I got to tell you, as a former quarterback, there was nothing worse than when you were in situations like that and you got pulled out of the game without ever getting into a rhythm. Now, I'm not saying that happened at all here today, but moving forward, something Jason Simpson's going to have to be very cautious of.
Fumble is recovered by Neal and returned up to the 7. It's Chris Santini on the spot for the Broncos from the linebacker area.
Good snap, just took his eyes off of it. He knows it. Neal pretty unhappy.
19th third down opportunity for Tennessee Martin. And now have converted successfully 11 times. Ben Axline, 88, with his first reception.
Actually, the brother of starting left guard Matt Axline, who's had 22 straight starts for the Skyhawks, so they're all in the family there on offense.
Yep. Skyhawks back on the plane to Martin, Tennessee, as we watch 14 Najee Ray carry the football right toward us. Ray's out of Paris, Tennessee. It's a redshirt freshman.
A little bit more of a change of direction guy than some of the other running backs that Tennessee Martin have. So obviously good to get him some experience and get him in the ball game.
Last season numbers for Tennessee Martin on third down. Today, quite successful, but has resulted in only 2 scoring drives that have netted 14 points. That intended for Fair, who's a redshirt freshman as well, out of Troy, Tennessee.
Jared Neal like to have that throw back. They tell you from a very young age, when throwing the ball to those running backs, you got to put it on them, Jim. You got to give them an easy catch because the shoulder pads are so big they can't get their arms above their head. So if they got to reach it all, it's going to be a tough catch. Just so happens it happened on third down, which they've been okay at today. No secret. The mistakes, turnovers, penalties has been the issue for Tennessee Martin.
Let's go away for a moment. 4:07 remains in our football game. Up next for Boise State in 6 days, the Air Force Academy trailing big against Utah State in the third quarter today at home, 38-13. Back to live action. Burrows on the catch across the 45. Dallas Burrows, not very big, but pretty good handed receiver. Actually weighing in at 5'8" and 171 pounds.
Second and 3.
Gets a gain of 7.
He's already up there.
Big hitter here to the end zone. It won't be a touchdown, by the way, as they're going to spot this inside the 20. But for the Broncos, Charles Bertoli, so redshirt freshman out of California, carries for 36 big yards.
able to get around the corner. Tennessee Martin in a defense where they're kind of all out right now. They're selling out towards the line of scrimmage, and when you do that, and you're not able to set an edge and turn that run back up inside, big run.
And a big moment.
You always like seeing that. Guys that you know work really hard each and every day. Teammates get out on the field and have some success. It's just good to see.
Patty drops to the knee. Second down.
Well, Boise State is not going to be heading to the end zone here with a good act of sportsmanship. They'll basically get in victory formation.
Best formation in football.
You experienced it many a time, did you not?
I did experience it a little bit when I wasn't throwing the ball to the other team.
I must have been exaggerating then. But you were Tom Brady for a while, so you know he did okay. I'm not sure why anybody's booing. I think this is a good display of sportsmanship.
No need to score 70 points here at home. They've played well. A lot of positive stuff to come out of this game, coming out of the opener up at Washington when they struggled a bit. I think Chris Peterson's just fine with 63-14 in their home opener.
Eighth season, about to win for the 80th time. Boise State is at home with just 4 losses dating back to the beginning of the century.
It's fun hearing about Joe Southwick this week. He was the first guy in the building Sunday morning after they had lost in Seattle. He took the loss tough. I know they have very, very high expectations as a fan base here, but I know Boise Bronco fans understand that they've got high expectations as a football team. They expect to go out and win every game they play. So when they lost last week, kind of had to hit the reset button for everybody. They sounded like they had a good week of practice, and they were able to come back out here, put it together today. Tough test, though, like we said, next Friday against Air Force. Obviously not having a great game at Utah State today, or at home today, but tough team to play early on in the season.
And on the change of possession, Tennessee Martin with a football back as Boise State takes a knee on each of the downs.
First down to the Skyhawks. 48 seconds remaining.
Number 10, Tyler Rice, is the quarterback now in the game for the Skyhawks. And they'll return the favor.
Tyler Rice takes the knee. Second down.
Well, that'll speed up the finish anyway.
It's fun working with you today.
Pleasure. Enjoy Utah State next week. Game over. And some redemption for Boise State after a tough night in Seattle just a week ago.
Positives in all 3 phases. I think Chris Peterson will be very, very happy with his team's performance today. On the flip side, head coach Jason Simpson, a lot of tape to correct. I think he'll like to fix some of those self-inflicted wounds that they had, but tough place to come play for anybody in this country. Never mind Tennessee Martin. I think they enjoyed the trip. Not the result they wanted, but Boise State looks like they're back on track.
For Kevin O'Connell, I'm Jim Barber. So long from Boise. Our final score today, Boise State 63 and Tennessee Martin 14. So watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks. Log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.